Welcome back to the Full Disclosure Podcast, where we rip apart the nonsense shaping our world and your wallet. We have a very interesting show today. We're going to lighten it up a little bit with an amazing guest I've been trying to book for a very, very long time, so it's a real honor to have him. He has an incredible story, but beyond that, he has some amazing money making and money savings tips that will blow your mind. And as you know, I don't schedule many guests on the show, so when I do, they're very, very special. So you want to stick around to hear what he has to say because it could put a lot of money in your pocket. Before we jump into it, don't forget, ring that bell below, hit subscribe. Love to hear your comments, your feedback. Let me know what you think and also where you're finding opportunities. Also, quick plug, my cash flow wealth building system is blowing up right now in a very good way, of course. And it's not hard to figure out why with so many people struggling. It's a dead simple strategy where I walk you through a simple process to spot winning stocks fast, how to use basic indicators to know when to buy or sell those stocks. And then I show you how to turn each trade into instant cash flow. And as I've said this before, it's the exact same strategy my 94-year-old father uses to generate $15,000 to $20,000 per month consistently as a hobby, and he's been doing it for the past 13 years. And of course, I use it myself to generate thousands of dollars every month in less than 30 minutes a week. So that tells you this is not day trading by any means. So if you want to watch a quick video giving you an overview, go to johnmacgregor.net/free masterclass. It's definitely worth a few minutes of your time. All right, so let's dive in.
If you have concerns about your financial future, let's be honest, the world shapes your wallet. We're taking you behind the scenes to look at what's really happening in the real world. Inform, prepare, and empower. This is the Full Disclosure Podcast with your host, John MacGregor.
So I want to introduce you to a new friend, but someone I actually knew for quite a while before I actually met him, as I've been following him on Instagram very closely. This is Josh Borishade. And in just over a year, Josh has amazed a following of over 940,000 people. It's absolutely mind-boggling. That's how popular Josh is. And he's going to tell you how he did it. And to say he's a social media influencer is a complete understatement. So I'm absolutely honored to have him on the show. Look, I've been in this business for over 30 years, and in all those years, I've never, ever heard of these tips and money-making and savings ideas. Many of them I now use myself. So we're going to start off with a brief overview of who Josh is, how he got to where he is, and we're going to be talking about his journey into entrepreneurship. It's an amazing story because I know a ton of you are either entrepreneurs or you want to be, and he's figured out the formula. He's going to share his tips on travel, real estate, shopping, car buying, taxes, and we are just scratching the surface. So with that, let me introduce you to Josh Borishade. Josh, thanks so much for being on the show. I thought we'd start off with you and your background and how you made the jump to entrepreneurship and just absolutely exploded in growth out of the gate.
Thank you, John. First of all, I really appreciate that great intro, but so most people who would know me as BAM Josh online. BAM actually stands for By Any Means Necessary. It's my brand, but most people know me for like frugal living tips, how to save money in their day-to-day life, or whether it be like airline, travel, hotels, cars, cruises, just money saving in general. So how I actually got started into social media was actually, I didn't know where I wanted to make money from. So I was playing basketball for a while in my early days during college. Then I got hurt. And once I got hurt, it was like a whole transition in life where I needed to realize how to make money without putting my body at risk. So everything in society today is going towards social media and making money online. So once I figured out there's an actual set formula on how to be successful online, I took it and then ran with it. A few of my friends actually showed me how to make content, make it successful, and how to actually make a real impact online. So I've just been doing that for the past year and a half, actually. And like John said, my following has amassed to around 940,000 right now on Instagram, which to me is still crazy, but I'm just taking it with a grain of salt. And then I'm actually very blessed to be in this position, but I'm still working every day at it.
It's an incredible story, Josh. So you're leaving out a big chunk of this. So when you got injured, what did you end up doing?
So I got injured way back in I want to say 2022. So I ended up actually sitting down in bed for like I believe it was a 3 month recovery period before I could even walk. So I literally took that. As soon as I got back walking, I started working at McDonald's. And then from there, it was literally me juggling school, basketball, McDonald's, and then this big aching pain in my head where I was like, how do I make money without putting my body on the line while still juggling all this while being in school?
Amazing. So you went from McDonald's to exploding in growth and entrepreneurship. Now, you've talked about your father in the last conversations that we've had, and I want to talk a little bit about mentorship. You have an incredible mentor in
I
your
do.
dad. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So my father, James Borshade, he runs a nonprofit organization in the city of Chicago named Circle Urban Ministries. So with him, it's not all that he does. So he does entrepreneurship in terms of his own speaking engagements, but he really helps the city in this nonprofit organization, whether it be helping kids out, whether it be like showing them the right way, how to stay in school, how to do what needs to be done without being as involved into the gang life. Because Chicago, a lot of people know for the wrong reasons, but there's a lot of good people in the community that's actually helping these young children out. And my father is one of those people.
So he plays a big role in your life, obviously, as a mentor, right?
Mm.
How would you describe mentorship for you, and mentorship for anyone who wants to become an entrepreneur? How important is that?
I would say you couldn't even put like a tangible, what is it? A
Dollar number.
tangible value to it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you couldn't put a dollar amount to it. So he's been very important in my entrepreneurship journey. When it be stated as a mentor, because the stuff that he's been through, mentorship is all about finding someone else's experiences and mistakes and what actually helped them grow, so that you don't make the same mistakes as them on your own journey. So he's actually helped me. He's basically the whole mastermind behind what I do. I'm just the face of the brand. So I would say mentorship in my life, it honestly it changed my life because I wouldn't be in the position that I am
Yeah.
today without him.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. That's a major component of what I teach is mentorship. I have mentors in my life. I mentor other people. It is absolutely critical to have mentors in your life. There's no way to succeed without it. Robert Kiyosaki talks about this
100%.
all the time. He says there's no way Robert, and he will admit this, there's no way Robert would be where he is today if it wasn't for mentorships. And he still leans on people a lot. And I always say to people, you must incorporate a mentorship practice in your business. Find 3 to 5 people that have an inherent interest in your success. Reach out to them. And the way you do it, at least how unless you, Josh, you have any ideas on how to find mentors, because a lot of people don't have a father like you, right?
Mhm.
Like you do, is reach out to somebody that you know in the community, the neighborhood, your school, your church, and say, look, call them up and say, hey, Mr. Smith, I'm starting this new business or I have an idea. I'd love to get your advice. It's one of the most
Exactly.
flattering things that you can say to somebody, and very, very unlikely they're going to turn you down from doing that. And then schedule some time, some coffee, or have a sandwich and explain to them what you're trying to accomplish. And then ask them if they'll be your mentor. If they say no, they've just done you a huge favor. Do not take it personally. A lot of people are very busy. Just move on to the next. But it's so, so important that you build a mentorship practice if you're looking to go out on your own, as so many of us. Would you agree to that, Josh?
Yeah, that's actually very true. In my own life, I've actually done that exact method
Yeah.
where okay, so I was going on the road. So at this point, I was in real estate rather than social media.
Mm-hmm.
So I had actually seen a for sale sign on a property. It was about 3 to 4 units or something of that sort. And I actually called the owner led me to his agent, and his agent, I forget his name. I wish I remembered it off the top of my head, but I actually called the number on the sign. It got me to the owner and then the agent, and I actually called him up. I was like, "Hey, I'm an aspiring real estate investor. I'm interested in this property, but not as a buyer. I would just like to learn how you got to the position you're in right now." And he actually sat down with me and gave me a whole I believe we talked on the phone for around 2 hours, and it was just like, how did he get to his position? I was just picking his brain,
Yep.
and I was like, "Are you open to mentorship?" And he actually agreed because it's like you said, it's a different type of flattering when someone just comes genuinely to you asking about help and like how you got to where you were. So we actually had scheduled a dinner it was like a restaurant date appointment. It never happened, but still, he's actually a very important person in my life now. Whether it be like I just asked him for help, how he got to where he's going,
Hmm.
and things of that nature.
That's a great story. I mean, it's exactly what we're talking about here. It's just so very important to do that. Um, so sticking on the theme of entrepreneurship, Josh, before we get into the money making and money savings tips, can you talk a little bit more about your formula for success? Someone's out there listening, and they're thinking,
Mm.
boy, I really want to get on my own. I'm tired of the 9 to 5, which I hear so often. I want to start my own business. What would you say to them?
So it really comes down to finding what works for you, what you can do consistently. So if you find one area that you can be successful in and just pinpoint that niche, is actually very, very helpful to make sure that you can be consistent in it, because you can make money doing anything really. There's 1,000 ways to make money, 1,000 ways to make $10,000 per month, which people seem to I feel like it gets overestimated how much work it really takes to make $10,000 a month, because
Hmm.
you could do, let's say you do ecom, Amazon FBA. There's a whole sea of things that you can do to make that $10,000 a month. You just need to pinpoint it. And what I teach in my own community that I'm going to be launching soon is entrepreneurship. And then my name stands for by any means necessary. So by any means necessary basically means you're willing to get successful or gain success by any means. So as long as you have that mindset, I actually believe a famous speaker, Eric Thomas, said, as soon as you want to be successful, as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. And it's basically that. It's all about mindset in my head, because you can make money doing anything. It just comes down to what's in your mind and how consistent you're willing to be in it.
100%. I don't know if I could add to that. I mean, it just takes consistency over and over. And I'll tell you, the highs are
Yeah.
high, the lows are low, but as an entrepreneur, but it is absolutely worth it. Um,
Mm,
but you just have to consistently do it every single day. And at times it can be a grind, but it's definitely worth it.
yeah. Yeah. One thing my father says a lot, he says what separates the good from the great and then the great to the legends is basically how much and how willing they are to do the mediocre tasks day in and day out every day for longer.
That's perfect. That's perfect. All right, well, let's get into some good stuff. Let's get into some money making, money savings
Right.
tips. You ready, Josh?
I am.
Let's start with travel. Give me some of your top 3 airline money savings tips.
Top three airlines money saving tips off the top of my head. I would say number one would definitely have to be the Google Flight Hack. Just typing into Google Flights, where you want to go, but not a desk. I mean, where you want to go, but not a date. Or let's say not even where you want to go. Let's just say you type into Google Flights what day you want to travel, but not a destination. So if you do that, Google Flights will literally pull up a chart of all the cheapest spots to go to for around the next 3 to 6 months. So I actually found a flight to Cancun for around like $67. And then a different month I did the same thing and the prices went up to 200. So if you do that at the right time, you'll get the cheapest flights always. And then
Very good.
also the next number two, I would say Department of Transportations. They actually updated their rules. So it used to be you go in the airport, let's say your flight gets delayed. You need money for that because now you're being inconvenienced. So it originally used to be you get like a random travel voucher if you talk to the manager. It would have to be a whole hassle you go through. But now, according to the Department of Transportation's new rules, it doesn't need to be much hassle. And then they'll actually have an on cash refund for you. So let's say your flight gets delayed around 4 hours or so. You're entitled to up to 4 times the compensation. Now, there's actually a chart on their website where you can see, let's say you get delayed 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours. The compensation goes and gets bumped up for each delay.
It's a
And
lot of
then
money,
number
right?
it is. So
And a lot
let's
of
say you
people
spend
are
$100.
leaving it on the table because they don't know about these rules and they just walk away
Mhm.
because they're not going to
Exactly.
offer it to you, right?
Yeah, they're not. You sometimes you have to look for it
Yep.
or talk to the right person. Sometimes that's what it takes.
Yep.
But number three, I'll go into incognito mode and just a bonus for student discounts. So incognito mode and student discounts, they kind of play hand in hand. So
Hmm.
let's say you're booking through a third party website or just a regular travel website. Let's say you have a student ID or you're a student, you could literally type into their portal, let's say For example, what is a flight? Let's say Delta. Let's say you type in Delta Airlines student discount. It'll pop up. All you got to do is show your student ID, have proof that you're actually a student, and then they should throw certain discounts at you. And if not, you can go in what's called incognito mode. Now, this disguises your browser, basically meaning they'll treat you as a first time buyer and try to reel you in with first time discounts.
Huh.
That's one of the things the airlines love doing.
That's awesome. And by the way, all these tips are on his Instagram. And you can find
Yeah,
that at
for sure.
BAM, BAMN _ Josh. I mean, there's just tons of these things. It's amazing. So,
Yeah.
one of my favorites is the poor man's first class. Can you explain that one?
So the poor man's first class, I actually had a friend do it in person. I
Love
haven't
this.
done it yet because it's some people think it's kind of unethical, but basically you buy one ticket for yourself and then you buy two extra tickets in the same row. But they need to be the two tickets that you buy extra need to be fully refundable. So let's say you get in an airline that has 3 rows of seats, 1, 2, 3. You don't want people sitting next to you, so you buy out the next two seats that is next to you, and then about 40 minutes before you're boarding, you want to cancel those two seats and then get the full refund for it. So in the end, you only spend the money for one ticket, but you could get a whole row to yourself.
I love that because I travel a lot and
Me
I'm a
too.
pretty tall guy. I'm 6'4", and inevitable it's inevitable every single time. The
Mhm.
6'8" guy who looks like Andre the Giant heading my way down the aisle always ends up sitting next to me, and I'm crunched like a sardine. So I
Yeah.
love the poor man's first class. All right, Josh, what about hotels? What do you got for us on hotels?
For hotels, there's certain discounts. Okay, so one of the one discounts I had no clue about was room service. If you decline room service, sometimes hotels will actually give you that money back as a discount on your actual what's called rooming and board. So let's say you don't want a hotel room service. There's one hotel specifically in Chicago. You hang this little flyer on your doors that's like declining room service. So now the hotel doesn't have to pay the room service person. So they're saving money. And as a reward, they give you that extra money back. As for scratching their back, they'll scratch your back.
Oh, so you mean like
And
housekeeping?
yeah,
Yeah,
housekeeping.
yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, I didn't know that. So if you
I
decline
didn't either.
housekeeping, that makes sense. You get a
Mhm.
discount. That's
And
beautiful. I
then
love that.
there's one more. There's a price match guarantee at the Marriott, actually. So let's say you find a better price online. Let's say you're only looking to stay for like a week or something. If you find a like the exact room you want, like the size for the exact amount of stay, then the Marriott will actually price match guarantee you, and they'll actually throw on top another discount just so that you book with them instead of their other competitor.
Wow, wow. All right, so that's hotels. What about cruises?
Ooh, we going back to back. So for cruises, there's this website called Vacations to Go. So let's say you open a website, you don't want to pay all this money for a cruise because, as we know, cruises are very expensive. So if you book around 90 days before their actual departure, you can find discounts. Now, Vacations to Go is a website that specializes in tracking these certain discounts. So let's say you type in Vacations to Go on your browser. At the top left, there's going to be a 90-day ticker, and then it shows you vacations and cruises all throughout the United States and actually internationally that are booking within the next 90 days for a discount.
Great. Now you tell me. I've already booked a cruise for Alaska next month, paid
Mhm.
over $5,000 for it. So now I know. Uh, Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
Um,
Have fun.
what about just frugal living in general? Because I know we're
So
all trying to save some money, especially with inflation where it is.
that's very true. So frugal living in general has been very interesting to me because in my own life, I've been trying to save money here and there, whether it be we couldn't afford something or actually, let's say we could afford it, but you just don't want to spend all that money. Like actually, this green screen behind me was for photography, but I've been using it to record literally since the day I began, which is very interesting. But I would say frugal living, there's a lot of ways to save money. You just have to know how to do it. Like
Mhm.
actually earlier today, I posted this video on how to save money while buying diamonds,
Mhm.
whether it be getting a 0.9 carat ring or a 1.9 carat ring to save money. Like just below that carat mark is going to save you a lot of money.
That's brilliant. I love
But
that.
it's
So don't
Simple
get the
living is
full
more
carrot
popular.
because that's going to be
Yeah.
more expensive
Mhm.
than the 0.9, and who's going to even notice the difference?
Exactly. There's no difference to the human eye.
I love that. I love that. What about just buying clothes? Those kind of things.
So buying clothes, let's say you go to Target. Let's say you getting some clothes for your kids for the holidays. I made a Father's Day video just for this. So let's say you go to Target, you buy some clothes for your kids, let's say $100 or so. As long as those clothes are Target branded items, you can literally return them like a year later for because your kids are bound to grow. It happens with kids, they grow. So you get that same piece of clothing from a year back as long as it's Target branded, and then you can return it and then get your money back and then buy new clothes each year. That was one of my biggest Father's Day savings videos.
Oh my gosh. I've never heard of that. You can just keep
Yeah, a
returning,
lot
getting
of
money
people
back as your kids
exactly.
grow.
Exactly. A lot of people don't know about that, but that's literally how to save a lot of money for not a lot of effort.
That's crazy. I know you talk about some other clothing
Mhm.
retailers like North Face, where you can return stuff
Yeah.
3 to 5
Mhm.
years after you bought it, right?
Yeah. So North Face, I used to have a jacket. I don't anymore. I literally found out after I already threw away the jacket. I was like, oh no. So you can there's a lifetime warranty on North Face, basically. If not a lifetime, there's definitely a 1 year to 3 year warranty where
Yeah.
you could literally, let's say your jacket has a rip, you fill out this form and then let's say you're doing it online. You could fill out a form and then send your clothes back to North Face, and then they'll literally send you another piece of clothing exactly the same, and you just get a free new one that's already refurbished, ready to go.
Wow. Wow.
But a lot of places have these policies. You just need to look for them and dig for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's huge because North Face, it's not cheap
Mhm.
clothes. So,
Exactly.
oh my gosh. All right. I know a favorite subject of yours is real estate, and we're kind of going through a lightning
Mhm.
round here. Um, why don't you kick it off with one of your favorite subjects within real estate, which is
Mhm.
wholesaling? What is wholesaling?
That's very true. So wholesaling, if I wasn't doing what I was doing right now, I would be wholesaling. Now, the only reason I'm not wholesaling is because the state I'm in. I'm in one of the two states in America where you need a license to wholesale. So wholesaling real estate is basically, let's say someone has this house. I want it. I don't necessarily need the house because I can make money off of who owns it already. So let's say this person has a house. This person right here is a real estate investor. I go purchase this house. I put it under what's called a purchase agreement. Now no one else can buy this. So real estate investor over here, he's just looking for houses. So I'm acting as the middleman. I'm giving him the purchase agreement, but for a higher price. So let's say I sign the house under contract for $100,000. I go to the real estate investor. He wants to purchase the property. I sell him what's called a purchase agreement or just put it under his name for $150,000. Now we go to a closing table or a title company. We make the deal happen. He gets a house. He gets his money, and I get to walk away with $50,000. That's wholesaling real estate. So if I wasn't doing what I was doing now, that's what I would be doing.
It, I have to be honest, Josh. I've heard of wholesaling before. It
Mm,
sounds almost too good to be true.
it does.
So, how would someone get started in this then?
So there's a lot of ways people get started. So some people don't want to deal with legal contracts. So
Yeah.
they do what's called bird dogging, real estate bird dog. So they'll get a list of contracts, or not a list of contracts, my mistake. They'll get a list of houses
Mhm.
and then they'll actually sell those to the real estate investor. And that's a certain way to wholesale, but you're gonna make around $1,000 per list, depending on your county. But if you wanted to get into actual wholesaling, I would say just driving around for dollars. So what I was doing before I found out I need a license, where I found my original mentor, is I was driving around looking for properties. So you can find those properties by just simply driving around looking for sale signs. Or what most people don't know is you can go to your city office. It's a city hall. Every city should have it. You just head to your city hall and look for a certain list, like water shutoff lists. There's tenants that don't pay every month. So you can see it's called I don't think it's negligible, but there's certain lists that you can find
Uh-huh.
via your city hall that show you the people who aren't paying as
Their
as frequently as they
taxes.
should.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They're
So you
turning
can
off their
find those
water. Yeah.
properties. And those are going to be your motivated buyers who actually want to sell their house because it's literally putting a hole in their back and in their wallet. So as soon as you find those lists, skip trace, which is basically finding the owners via online. Let's say you go to Zillow, it should have like your owner's names.
Yep.
You contact them and then get the property under what's called a purchase agreement, and then from there you start wholesaling.
So
And
what's
you're
the
gonna find
is there a downside to this, Josh?
there is a downside. The biggest downside is going to be your time. So let's say you have a full 9 to 5 job.
Yeah.
Your biggest enemy is going to be the time and the amount of people who are going to say no versus the amount of people who are going to say yes.
Right.
So it's a very inconsistent monthly income when you're starting out. But let's say you find your flow, you get everything you need to get going. And let's say you have a team put behind you, then it could be very profitable.
My gosh, what it sounds like an amazing way to get started in real estate, right? With no money
Yeah.
out of pocket, just time.
Zero money out of pocket. Exactly.
And if you could close one of these every couple of months or every 3 months, my gosh, think of what that would do to someone's financial life.
Exactly.
Who's, living paycheck to paycheck.
That's very true. The average wholesaling deal is around $20,000. So you do one deal a month or even 2 deals every 4 months or something like that. And that's still very good income. That's why it's so attractive to people.
Yeah, absolutely. Are those why we see the signs all around the neighborhoods?
We buy houses.
We buy houses. Yeah.
Exactly.
You also talk about living rent free. Please share how to live rent free. I'm sure a lot of people would like to hear that.
A lot of people would like to live rent free. I myself, in a perfect ideal world, I would live rent free. Now, there's different ways to do this, whether it be purchasing a property via FHA. So FHA guidelines is basically you need to live in a property for let's say 1 year before you can move out. Let's say you put 3.5% down on a house with an FHA guideline. You have 3 other tenants. Let's say you buy a fourplex. A fourplex is basically a story or a property with 4 stories in it. So let's say you buy a fourplex under FHA guidelines. You live there for 1 year. You have 3 tenants paying out the rest of your mortgage and basically the rest of your housing. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. I live here. My tenants live here.
Yeah.
Let's say 2 tenants pay my monthly and like my let's say my electric or my water. And then you're gonna have extra income coming in. And then after a year, you can move out. And now you have an investment property with 4 tenants who are essentially giving you extra cash flow once everything's said and done. So living rent free could either be doing that investment strategy with the FHA, or it could be what's called house hacking. So let's say you have a building with, let's say you have 6 doors in your building. That's a lot of, I'm not gonna lie, that's a big house. But let's say you rent out each room to like, let's say your friends or Tim and Jerry who want to just move in with you. Let's say you're in college. If you're in college, this is a strategy that you should highly consider. But you could essentially rent those rooms out and then live rent free because you have so many rooms being rented. It'll essentially pay your mortgage and you could come out with some extra cash flow as well.
This is amazing. You just turned 21, right?
Yeah, I did.
This is crazy. Now, you're building a course on all of this, right?
So right now I'm working on the schools community. Well, it'll basically be essentially courses for free, but for a price. So instead of it being like $997 or something, it'll just be $30 a month. You get access to them all just built inside my community. And I'll be going live breaking down things like wholesaling real estate, because right now it's basically very broad, but there's things that I would like to get into in terms of wholesaling real estate, like skip tracing. A lot of people don't know how to actually find the owners of these properties. And there's a lot of websites out there that have a lot of value that'll help people. So that's basically what I'll be doing in my community once I set it up. It won't be like $1,000 courses originally, but it'll be $1,000 worth of value, but just broken down, going course by course.
I love that model. Very affordable for anyone. That's great. So
exactly.
Again, another reason why you want to follow Josh on Instagram. Josh, we're running out of time here, but there's some gems that I want to get into, particularly in shopping, whether it's Apple, Amazon, Costco. You mentioned Target. What are some of your top ones that really resonated with people?
So from the top of my head, I heard Apple, Amazon, and Costco. So Apple, there's ways to get essentially free headphones, but that promotion actually ended. But you can get free chargers from Apple, by basically, let's say you have a charger that has no external damages, but it doesn't work. I actually have a charger. If I take down this green screen, you'll see a red charger that literally doesn't work for me.
Yeah, I
So
have a
I can
box
go to
full of them.
Apple. Yeah. So if there's no external damage, you can go to Apple and literally replace them for free. You just hand them it and they'll hand you a new one. A lot of people don't know about that. And I actually need to do that myself.
Yeah,
But
I do
there's
too.
also headphone warranties where you can get brand new headphones. Let's say you have AirPods that didn't survive 3 years, because Apple is weird. Sometimes products will last long, sometimes it won't.
Yep.
So they actually put a warranty in place. Well, it'll be 3 years from the manufacture date where you can return them for a brand new set. And
Wow.
then moving on to Amazon.
Yeah.
So let's say you don't want to spend all your money on Amazon, but everything you like is on Amazon. So there's actually a wholesaling section where it's basically an outlet section for discounted products. So let's say they made too much of something or overstocked it. There's actual set stores in certain locations, but you're not going to find those depending on where you live. So online, there's an outlet section with highly discounted products. I would recommend that to anyone who wants to go on Amazon for a discount.
So Amazon has an outlet store.
They do.
Very, very cool. That's very good to know. Costco. You talk a lot about Costco.
Yeah, I could go on and on about Costco. Because there was this one situation where people in my comments were like, head to Costco or do what you're doing in person. So I actually went inside of a Costco without a membership. And a lot of people don't know that there's different ways to do it. You can get in, let's say you have a gift card. You can say you're shopping around. You can say you actually want to look around with the intent to purchase a membership. But let's say you just want to shop there. You can get a Costco gift card and shop there. You can get a gift card for like $25 to $50 to $100. You literally get the same discounts as you would regularly, but now you have the ability to shop at Costco and get their discounts. Now, doing that, you need a member to buy the gift card for you, or you could go to a third-party website. Another thing people don't know about Costco is they actually sell GIA certified diamonds. I made a video on this a while back. It actually got around 1 million views. It was a very successful video, but you can buy essentially discounted GIA certified diamonds from Costco and literally have them be identical to real ones because they are real.
Yeah.
It's just for a discounted price.
Love it. Love it. I got to ask you about Ray-Bans. That was one of my
Ray-Bans.
favorite videos.
Mhm. Yeah, so basically Ray-Bans owns the eyewear market, but it's not Ray-Bans specifically. It's who they work under. So Ray-Bans, let's say you want discounted glasses. A lot of people would be like, I want the Ray-Bans quality, but I don't have the Ray-Bans quality money. When it comes to manufacturers, you can literally find the exact store they're being built in for literally like $10. But you wouldn't know this unless, well, you follow me. But but there's certain ways to get the same product for cheaper. And then Ray-Bans is actually under a company called Luxottica. They own around 80% of the world's eyewear market, which is basically a monopoly. I don't want to get too deep into it, but there's a lot of products that get made under the same line. They just throw different brand names on it. And it's basically the exact same quality, just different names and different prices.
It's the same product, right? It's
exactly.
And it probably costs them $2 to $5 to manufacture these things, and they're selling them for $200.
Yeah, their markups for brand names are crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So now you're getting a pair of Ray-Bans, which would cost you $200 to $400 for what?
You could so let's say Ray-Bans cost like $200. You could get them for like $20, $30 in bulk if you wanted. Amazing. Now there's a website called importyeti.com. Well, importyeti.com, which will show you every brand's manufacturer depending on their depending on what type of brand they are. But more than likely, though, their manufacturer and supplier will be on importyeti.com.
Importyeti.com. That's a huge gem there. I've got to ask you about Domino's.
Domino's. So Domino's, it's actually funny. I love Domino's.
I
can't eat it too often because it's like bad for you, but I still do.
It's gotten much better. It's gotten much better over time. I think it's good.
Yeah. I think their garlic crust is crazy. But anyway, it was one of my top performing videos. It got around 10 million views to date. It's been crazy, but off the top of my head, code 9174 will save you on a medium 2-topping pizza. It's crazy. I know that off the top of my head, but there's definitely different codes. If you go to my Instagram, it's literally my top video on my Reels tab. I
No way.
dropped about 4 to 5 codes in there at the end of the video. All you do is screenshot it. And then there's different codes for like medium 2 toppings, or like, let's say you want a large 2 topping, or like, let's say you want just to save money on pizza. Just head there, screenshot the codes, and then use them.
That's
And the
great.
codes
I
have
love
been
it.
around for years.
Because we have a fairly new Domino's nearby, and I think the pizza's pretty. I mean, I think it's really good actually.
Yeah, I
Long,
agree.
far long from where
Mhm.
it was when they started. Um, Hospitals. This is near and dear to me, as I just had
Mhm.
back surgery, and I'm getting a $500 to $1,000 bill every other day, despite the insurance I have. Tell us
Oh,
about
wow.
hospitals.
I hope all's going well with your back. But
I
for
appreciate it.
hospital,
Thank you. Yes,
there's
it
a
is.
lot going on with billing. So there's unethical. We'll start with what's unethical in terms of how you can finesse the hospital billing system. So first, an unethical thing that I don't recommend. However, I wouldn't look at you different if you did it, because hospitals are known to be very interesting when it comes to billing. So hospitals cannot deny you, even though they don't necessarily know your identity. So let's say you have something traumatic happen. Knock on wood, I hope this never happens to anyone. But if you forget to bring your ID, they cannot deny you actually medical attention. So they can't bill you if they don't know who you are, essentially. So I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't look at you different if you did it, however. Now, their billing department, they're known for overcharging people for things that are like comedic, like Tylenol, Band-Aids. You'll get double charged, overcharged for it. And you can check all these prices for what they should be at fairhealthconsumer.org. I know that off the top of my head because I made this video so many times because I feel like it has so much value to it.
Mhm.
Now, hospital billing and receipts are known to have around, it was a crazy statistic I read. It said most hospital bills have 80% errors, or 80% of hospital bills contain errors of some sort. So depending on what that error is, you could be getting charged thousands of dollars for literally a band-aid or something that's has no reason to be charged that much. And if you go to fairhealthconsumer.org, it'll show you what the prices should be, and you can go to the building department and dispute your charges.
That's great, because most people just get the bill and then they pay it. And now, as a result of your
Mhm.
video, I'm really going to contest a lot of this stuff. I want detailed billing of all of
Yes,
these bills I'm getting. It's
I
ridiculous.
forgot. I forgot. It's called an itemized bill. So you go to your
Yeah,
hospital billing department. Let's say you get your receipt, what you're actually owed. You're going to need to request an itemized bill to see every charge listed out and actually what went into your bill.
thank you. Very, very good. In the interest of time, Josh, is there anything else that you want to share that's top of mind that you think would really resonate with the audience? We've got a few
Mm,
more minutes. So, car buying, movie theaters, taxes, home buying.
I would say home buying. I'm actually glad you mentioned that. I would say home buying.
Okay.
So there's good ways to get cheap housing, because right now everyone's worried about interest rates, how much his houses actually cost. They don't want to move because it costs too much to move. There is what's called the NACA program, which a lot of people don't know about because they're so like, they're nationwide, but it's not really talked about. So FHA will save you about 3.5%. Let's say instead of a conventional loan where you're putting 20% down, you only need 3.5%.
Hmm.
The NACA program, NACA, their program will actually allow you to buy a house with 0% money down, but you would just have to put out money for closing. So that's unheard of in the housing market, because you hear high interest rates, first of all.
Yep.
Second of all, you're going to hear high down payments around 20%. And then they actually have no minimum credit requirement, which is very attractive to a lot of people.
Mhm.
So the way their program works is you go to them for what's called assistance, and then they'll actually monitor how your monthly payments are coming in to make sure you can actually qualify for the loan and that you'll pay it back. And they're one of the most forgiving people and organizations as well. They're very user friendly, but their closing does take longer because of how much stuff you need to go through. So if you can actually finish their program, pay attention to what they're saying, it's well worth it, in my opinion. I believe it's well worth the time.
So that's NACA,
Yeah.
NACA.
NACA.
Thank you. And
Mhm.
so people wouldn't get this through a mortgage broker, right? They would go directly to this organization.
Yeah, so they'll go directly through the organization. They have funding federally, actually.
Yep.
So there's a title that they claim. They claim to have the best mortgage rates compared to anyone. And you quite literally cannot say that legally. Like, at least it needs to be federally studied and then repeated over and over. And they have that title and it's legitimate.
Amazing. Wow. Wow. That's a gem. And obviously you have a video on this.
Actually, I don't. I need to
Really?
make one.
Yeah.
I need to make one. There's
well,
he's
they're
a
getting
real
early
estate.
access to some amazing information. It's awesome. Well,
I
Josh,
genuinely make one.
we're over time here, so we got to wrap up.
Mm.
Any final thoughts that you want to share with somebody who really wants to break free from the 9-to-5 rat race, who wants to become an entrepreneur, live life on their own terms? And then also I want to ask you about your community of supporters, the BAM community.
So, according to living life on your own terms, I would say this is something I'm moving into teaching heavily because right now I consider myself an influencer. I want to move more into being a business person,
Right.
because people know me for like my business content, whether it be like the IRS or certain tax codes. Now, for me, tax codes and then moving into entrepreneurship and living life on your own terms, I feel the best way to do that is to own your business and structure it legally perfectly. Now, to do this, I would say if you don't have a mentor that's going to show you step by step, I would say get an attorney when it comes to taxes, because little slip ups in structuring your business could literally have toppling effects way down in the future.
Yep.
But moving into how to make money in today's society, I would say America is literally built off of businesses.
Yep.
So if you own a business, you automatically have advantages in the tax codes to help you. So let's say you make $1 million. You don't want to say that on paper. So let's say you make $1 million a year. You can offset your taxes. Let's say you're going to pay a whole bunch of taxes on that. You can offset your taxes by your expenses.
Yep.
So let's say it costs you $1 million to keep your $1 million business up. You'll pay $0 in taxes.
Yep.
Now, talk to an attorney. I can't stress this enough. Talk to an attorney before you make any tax decisions.
Yep.
And then moving on to my community, it's been a whole blessing. Even being on this show, it's been a blessing, really. It's been very humbling. It's been a very, it's beyond words, this whole experience, because I would have never thought I would be in this position. And it's all thanks to my community. I named them the BAM community a while back.
Yeah.
Then I put up a poll. And then I was like, do you want to be called the BAM community or the BAM fam? My friend Caleb, he was like, you want to call them the BAM community? Why not the BAM fam? So I put up a vote in a poll, and the BAM fam actually won. So that's why they're named what they're named now.
I love it.
But yeah, it's been a whole blessing. I appreciate you having me on the show, though.
No, it's been an absolute honor for me and my viewers and listeners. And we hope you'll come back, because there's so much more. We've only scratched the surface.
Exactly.
So please come back. Well, folks, that's it for today's show. I hope you found this information interesting and took something away from it. I certainly did. Tons of great stuff in there. By any means necessary, BAM. That's the mindset you need to have, because it's all about mindset. It has nothing to do with your financial literacy, your knowledge, your school you went to, your parents, where you grew up. None of that happened. None of that has to do with any of that. So your grades, certainly not, definitely in my case. It's all about mindset. And that's why I love Josh's tagline, BAM, by any means necessary. Remember, knowledge is power, and staying informed is a key to thriving in today's market. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button below. Leave your comments. Love to hear your thoughts, where you're finding opportunities. And don't forget to check out my cash flow wealth building system at johnmacgregor.net/free masterclass. It really, really is a game changer. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thank you, Josh, so much. Really, really appreciate it. It's amazing to think that 18 months ago, you were working at McDonald's. And now look at you.
Yep. Yeah, it's very humbling. It's still crazy to me to this day. 1 million people following my content, listening to what I have to say. It's been a crazy journey. But thank you for having me on again. I appreciate you and your team.
Absolutely. I can't wait to see what your life looks like in 2 years, 10 years. I mean, it's just, you are an incredible, inspiring individual. And I hope this really inspired a lot of people. So thank you very much. All right, everybody, have a great week. I'll see you next time. Take care and aloha. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening and supporting Full Disclosure. If you like this episode, remember to like and subscribe and follow Full Disclosure. To make a better financial plan for your future, join our Cash Flow Bootcamp, where John shows you a safe and smart way to turn your investments into a steady income stream in a fraction of your time. Learn to make money in any market. Until next time.
This podcast is a presentation of Rich Dad Media Network.